The character of Uldren Sov appears once again, but different in this expansion, being resurrected as the Crow. He is now tasked with working with the Spider and aiding to his every need, completing his goals, taking out bounties and things like that, and if he doesn't cooperate, well, the Spider rigged his ghost glint so it could explode if needed, meaning that if Uldren died, he'd now be gone for good like Cayde was.
As far as his loyalty is concerned, I took a few extra precautions and made some modifications to his ghost's shell. Now, if he ever flies too far from the nest, boom.
Today we are going to discuss the Crow's origin, Hawkmoon's insane lore, how Guardians interact with him now that he's resurrected after the events of Forsaken, and discuss what the future may hold for this plot twist of a character.
They call me the Crow. My boss wants to see you.
For those that don't know, let's do a quick little rundown or summary of how Uldren became the Crow in the first place. Back in Destiny 1, we were introduced to the Queen of the Arif and the Awoken Mara Sov, and also her brother Uldren, who despised the Guardians at first sight. With his help, after the Queen's convincing, they eventually revealed the location of the Black Garden to us, a place we would need to go to stop the Black Heart, to stop the darkness from advancing.
So, think you can kill a god?
Don't think I have a choice.
After that, Uldren seemingly died during the Battle of Saturn at the beginning of the Taken King. We can see his ship spiraling out of control and then he's just screaming, but we later learned that he did crash land on Mars, which is pretty far away, and repaired his ship. After getting up into the air and traveling for a little bit longer, he then crashed on Mars again in the Lost Sector near the Hellas Basin. If you've played on Mars before Bungie took it away, you may have seen this ship in the Lost Sector near the starting area. Through all of this time, after Uldren would crash, he would search for his sister Mara to try and figure out where she is and to feel her pull. He knew that she could still be alive out there somewhere. Sometime later, a bunch of things happened in the lore, and Uldren eventually got caught up in the Scorn shenanigans, raising his new army, and was thrown in the Prison of Elders after being captured by Cayde 6 and Petra Venge. So you know how the story goes from there. Varix opened the gates, set Uldren free, and then he killed Cayde, just to be met with a bullet from us and Petra not too long after. So Uldren was dead.
The line between light and dark is so very thin. Do you know which side you're on?
Later that season, or perhaps the one after, I can't exactly remember, we got a cutscene that depicted a ghost in the Dreaming City floating up to a lifeless body with a sheet thrown on top of it. This body was none other than Uldren Sov, and the ghost resurrected him. This is where the life of the Crow began. With no recognition of his past life, the Crow would search the system and find Guardians that hated his guts. They would call him names, beat him up, and even some of them kill him. Thankfully, his ghost could resurrect him once more though. So let's talk about some of these stories and then we'll get into the Hawkmoon lore. The first card we have shows a Guardian which we believe is Uldren, sort of hiding away from everyone else. It was thought to be the Cosmodrome, but it could be someplace different, so we'll let you decide. For the last 3 weeks, the Guardian has been camping in a rusted out shipping container, far off the main pathways that are always buzzing with sparrows. He stays out of the way of other Guardians, and if he can't do that, he keeps his helmet on. Always. All he has to his name is some beat up gear, a ring, and a silk sheet. Those are the things that he woke up with. He wears the ring on a chain and keeps the sheet as a comforting reminder of something he can't remember. Sometimes he wears it draped over his shoulder. The fabric is so fine that it makes him think about a place he must have come from before this life, and how much nicer it is than where he is now. He spends his days alone. Other Guardians are an unpredictable source of pain and confusion, and they see him the same way. Some react to him with outright hostility, others are overcome by some personal and unexplained grief. He doesn't know why. That was the most painful lesson of being reborn. It's better to be alone. So he's always alone now, except for his ghost. One night, he sits with his head against his knees and listens to the distant snaps of gunfire. He hasn't seen anyone in about a week, but he can hear them. Somehow that makes the loneliness worse and more potent. Did you know his ghost says bright but gentle, the purple glint of his shell reflects the half-light outside that crate? That in the last city, they are celebrating. They call it the Dawning. It is a celebration of friendship and hope and warmth. The Guardian keeps his eyes closed and forces down his bitterness. The silence lingers between them, heavy and filled with unsaid things until his ghost gently bumps his shoulder. To feel good, they say to each other, "Happy Dawning." Still, the Guardian says nothing and his own silence makes him sick with himself. His ghost has never doubted him, never doubted anyone really. He is a well of relentless optimism, and as infuriating as that is, it's also heartbreaking and comforting and a relief. The Guardian is not going to be one to disappoint him. There's been too much disappointment in this life already. Happy Dawning, he says. So that's a pretty cool card from last year, I believe, and hey, the Dawning's around now, so I thought to bring this card up because one, with the interactions with Uldren and his ghost, and also we can celebrate the Dawning at the same time, I guess. So in this card, we can see Uldren camping out somewhere. This could be the location in the EDZ where he shows us in the Hawkmoon quest, and he's sort of just hiding from other Guardians. If he does have to go out, he makes sure he keeps his helmet on so they might not know who he is, and he can get things done safely.
Don't mind the mess. Glint's a terrible maid. This is just where I come to get some distance when I need it. Some place to call my own. I didn't drink that by myself in case you were curious. I forgot this was here. In fact, I didn't have any of it. After Glint brought me to life, I quickly came to realize that Guardians recognized me as whoever I was before. They weren't always kind. So I took to wearing a helmet to hide my face. Before Spider, it felt good. Saving someone so important to the Vanguard. Someone who used to be an outcast. It made something new and beautiful out of something that would have just been thrown away. I don't know why, but I returned for the Kabbalah later. I've always wondered how she would have treated me if I'd stayed. She saw my face.
So speaking of the Hawkmoon lore, let's read that card and then we'll talk a little bit about the mission and what the heck was going on with Uldren when he saw all those visions. Now this may make it a little easier to understand this card if I say this before I start reading it. So when they say what is this feeling and they're questioning what's this thing that this person is feeling, this is regarding Savathun. In the card it will describe the interactions between our Guardian and the Crow, but Savathun appears to be reading this. What is this feeling? I did not ask for it. I do not understand it. I do not want it. The Crow is so carefree in his ignorance. The bonfire's glow lights up his pale features, and I am drawn to the hope in his gold eyes. Where is the despairing child I anticipated? He drinks from an open bottle of wine against the recommendation of his ghost. The Guardian encourages him, and they are laughing. This celebration is maddening. Neither have reason to be so jubilant. Their world is ending and they thrash like dying creatures in the final light of collapsing stars. They do not seem to acknowledge the futility of their existence, the impermanence of it in the face of cosmic annihilation. Now the Guardian is drinking, standing close to the fire. Their ghost too encourages them not to take part. They poison themselves for the enjoyment of it. I am reminded of my sisters, of moments spent by lapping shores, gazing up at infinite stars full of possibilities and wonder. I am left yearning. What is this feeling? I do not understand it. I do not want it. They are celebrating their victory over the Taken. The crow is making a gun shape with his hand, swinging the nearly empty bottle of wine around in the other like a sword. The Guardian looks pensive, sitting on the rock by a fire, contemplating the secret they are keeping. The crow notices, but tries not to show it. He wants the Guardian's spirit to be lifted. He wants to be supportive so that they may share in their triumphs together, as equals. I am reminded of my home. I am reminded of the warmth of the sun and the embrace of my family. I am reminded of my father's face. I am reminded of everyone I betrayed. All the blood spilled in the name of immortality. The warmth of the sun burns me with its memory. What is this feeling? I do not want it. The fire has nearly died. The crow fell over and cannot stand, though he insists he is fine. The Guardian is turning the embers with the tip of their sword. The ghosts are talking to one another in a quiet conspiracy. The celebration has ended, but I can sense their emotions are mixed, complex, and myriad things when a simple singular focus would suffice. There is a growing kinship here against better judgment. What is this feeling?
A piece of the Traveler.
I don't think it's a coincidence that the Taken are so active here.
Savathun?
She knows about this. Has to.
So this card is insane. First of all, we have Savathun, I guess, looking over this, and she's describing her past, her family, things like that, the ones she betrayed, and she's starting to feel different. This, what we believe, is that Savathun seems like she's kind of changing from her ways in the past. In the Hawkmoon mission, the Traveler sort of directly talks to Uldren, which we'll talk about in a second, and gives him the Hawkmoon. The same type of thing could be happening here with Savathun. I know that's a long stretch, and some of you may think that's crazy. I think it's a little crazy. But unless she's fooling us again, she could be changing as well. And who says the Witch Queen is actually Savathun? We've seen Eris and other characters refer to her as that, but who says it can't be Xivu Arath? We're unsure yet, so thought I'd throw that out there. But regardless, in terms of our Guardian and the Crow, they seem to be getting along. Looks like they're getting drunk here by the fire, sipping on some wine. And the Crow wants to be supportive of our Guardian so that they may share in their triumphs together as equals. They want to be friends. So what does the future of the Crow look like? Well, so far this season, despite others hating Uldren for those stories like we read, our Guardian seems to be different, partying with him and becoming friends. Now, there was also a leaked cutscene a couple of days ago for later in this season that further cements this down. I'll give you a couple of seconds right now to skip forward if you don't want to hear this. Okay, so in this cutscene, we essentially save the Crow from the spider and free him. The spider gives us a choice, like, you can have anything in my little empire here, and we decide to take the Crow with us. And he's like, alright, take him. So this new friendship is pretty interesting, and I'm sure it's going to evolve in the future. We've had this lore card, we're going to see it in a cutscene, and who knows what else. It's kind of crazy if you think about it. Bungie made Uldren one of the most hated characters in the Destiny universe. Heck, some out there might still hate him for what he did to Cayde 6. But they are now flipping the switch with the emotions here and changing everything around. Showing Uldren get beat up, killed by Guardians, resurrected, and then becoming friends with not just a Guardian out there, but our Guardian, and whether you like him or not, that's in the lore. The one character that had a part in killing him that the Crow doesn't even know about, the big secret, is now one of his best friends, so that's pretty crazy. And in my opinion, this is probably just the starting point for the Crow, and we'll see him much more prominently in future seasons. In Bungie's original story back around 2013, the Crow had a much different role. Apparently, our character would have met this Crow in an early mission like seen in this E3 trailer. Now it kind of makes sense because it's in the Cosmodrome.
Why is the city breathing down my neck?
Why don't you put that down so we can talk?
Out here in the wild, this is how we talk.
The Crow is supposed to be a roguish and charming character, not unlike Cayde 6 became in the Taken King expansion. Apparently he was supposed to have that same type of personality. But when the game came out, we seen this really wasn't the case, and this model was then used for the Queen's brother, Uldren Sov, but we do know he was called the Crow, thanks to an early screenshot from Bungie's Vidoc that says this: "Help the Crow loot the Academy archive." So we can sort of see how things are coming full circle. The Crow is an outcast and rogue, and it seems somewhat the same this time around, as he has no recollection of his past, and he's just rogue, wandering, doing his own thing, with the exception of the spider's bounties and stuff. Bungie even pokes fun at this old E3 demo in the Hawkmoon quest description. "I'm somewhere. I know that's not helpful. It's a ruin on Earth, I think. I'm flying, and there's these towers and ships. I land on a broken concrete pillar and I see myself, but it's not me. I don't think it ever was. I'm saying words I've never said before, and the Guardian is there. Yes, that one." So briefly, what about that Vanguard dare situation? The original dare involved a bet between Andal Brask and Cayde 6. Whoever could take out Taniks first would be free, while the other became the Hunter Vanguard, which turned out to be Andal because Cayde killed Taniks. They then agreed together that if anything happened to the current Hunter Vanguard, the other would take their place, and unfortunately it did. Andal died and Cayde became the Hunter Vanguard. So when thinking about Uldren though, it's kind of tough. He is the one that killed the previous Hunter Vanguard, but he also isn't really that experienced, which could mean it might not happen, or most likely won't happen. But Uldren is a little different, as we've seen in the Hawkmoon mission. The Traveler directly made a connection with him, speaking to him.
My dream, the bird, the voice, calling to me as the darkness closes in. It's not a coincidence. It's a message.
Are you suggesting the Traveler spoke to you?
This may be the only way a paracausal entity like the Traveler can communicate with us.
Why me?
I've always believed in my purpose as a ghost. We are all part of a broader design. Now that the Traveler's awake and whole again, that plan is set in motion.
I don't know if I want to be somebody's cosmic plaything.
So at this point, it's hard to tell and unlikely, but you never know given it's a sci-fi universe and a bunch of crazy things could happen. Will he be the new Hunter Vanguard? Is he a new speaker? Or just an outcast friend to our Guardian? Whatever it is, Uldren will have a huge part to play in the years to come for sure. Anyway, Guardians, I thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed and would like to see some others like it, be sure to subscribe and check out the channel. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. My name's Evade, and I'll catch you Guardians in the next one.